Hello, everybody. This is Jim Tanner with your audio drop for Thursday, May 4th, 2023, as we continue on with our 90-day run. I want to congratulate everybody that stepped up and begun running with us. The fact is, this is going to show an impact and results in your business in the days, weeks, months, years even to come. One of these days, very soon, during our audio drops, I'm going to talk about the first time I ever did a 90-day run and how the impact of that activity is still, over a decade later, still impacting my business. And the combined effect of people joining the team and then running in the correct direction, following the 10 core commitments, and how that's impacted my business. So that's to come in the next few days. But today, on our audio drop, I want to talk about the numbers first. So over the first 3 days that we've been tracking the exposures, that you've been reporting back the exposures you're doing in the market, we have exposed 260 people to our membership and opportunity. Congratulations. Now, I've said this before, I'll say it many more times. I realize that some people are not yet into the habit of reporting their exposures, and that there's certainly more exposures going on than what are being reported. But isn't it great that we can celebrate that we have it in black and white? 260. Those are your neighbors, your friends, business owners in your community. Those are people that woke up wondering what they were going to do, how they're going to earn extra income, how they're going to find a new path and a new career, how they were going to get their time back, how they were going to get control of their finances, and you stepped into their life with an option. So often we celebrate the recruiting numbers and the membership sales, and all of that is important too. But the leading indicator, the thing that makes everything else work, is the exposure. So I'm talking about that now. I'm going to close up a few minutes from now talking about what is an exposure, because that's the most common question I get. But let's not stop celebrating. So 260 exposures in the first 3 days. May 1st, it was 28 exposures that were reported. On May 2nd, 106 exposures reported. And then yesterday, for May 3rd, 126 exposures. And those exposures are coming from associates in Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Colorado, Louisiana, and New Mexico so far. Now, again, for those of you that don't know how to do this, you report your activity. All you do is you fill out a form. It takes 3 seconds, really, because there's only a couple of questions. It's who are you, where are you, and how many exposures did you do? And you can report that activity if you choose to, if you want to run with us, if you want to have the accountability of posting your numbers, and we invite you to do this. Just go to the website where we're hosting this, which is my team website, agentsofchange.team. You'll see a 90-day run support page. And I'll put the link also in the comments. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this audio drop on YouTube, you'll see it in the comments information below. You can click on it. Again, it's agentsofchange.team. Now, I know that many of you are not part of my personal team, and you have your own team. You can still use the resources on the website. It's a place where you can get every resource you need for this 90-day run, where you can be with us. You can get the replays of the events. For example, the kickoff event that we did last Monday night to explain the 90-day run, all of the components, what we're doing, what I'm doing as a commitment to you, what your commitment to your business is to do the 90-day run. All of that is in the video. As a matter of fact, the replay has just been climbing in views as folks are sharing it with their team and getting on board and saying, yes, I want to do this with you. And this next Monday night is the first of the business overview Monday night. So we're working towards, right now, these exposures and follow-ups are working us towards our first big business overview, where I'm gonna come on to the Zoom at 9:00 p.m. Eastern. I'm gonna do the business overview presentation. I'm gonna invite other associates to share testimonials. We're gonna do that in about 40 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes, probably 30 to 35 minutes. And then we're gonna take a 5-minute break. So you can sign up your guests. You can sign up the prospects that you're bringing. They can get started as an associate. They can go to your website. As you know, it only takes a minute to do this. They can get in and join up, and then come back immediately for a getting started training. I'm gonna speak to your brand new associate The person that joined 1 minute ago, I'm going to tell them exactly what they need to know. Nothing complicated, nothing that will give them stress or anxiety. I'm just going to give them the simple first steps that every associate needs to know to launch their business. And I'm so excited that we're going to be doing that on Monday. But that is not the next thing that's happening. Of course, every day we're continuing to commit to putting ourselves out there with exposures and then following the 10 core commitments. And one of the 10 core commitments is to attend your Super Saturday events on a monthly basis. Many markets have a Super Saturday event coming up this weekend. In Marlborough, Massachusetts, for example, I'll be with Chip Humphrey, who's a six-figure ring earner and a Millionaire Club member. Myself, Nola Fennessy, another six-figure ring earner. We will be in Marlborough, Massachusetts, sharing the stage together for the Rise to the Ring Super Saturday event. That's 3 ring earners with very, very different stories about starting part-time. Chip Humphrey, a former vice principal at a school. Nola Fennessy, a former school teacher and stay-at-home mom. Myself, delivering furniture and working at a store in the mall. All there to communicate to your associates and their guests exactly what it takes to launch this business, how to win in this business. And no, the secret is not quitting your job and throwing away everything that matters to you and diving in 80 hours a week. That's not what any of us did. That's not what we expect anybody else to do. This is a business that you can wrap around your life, and we're going to show people exactly how to do that. So let me just take a pause here and say, what is an exposure? It's the most common question I've gotten since we've launched the 90-day run, because we're talking about reporting the exposures. And people are saying to me, Jim, what do you consider an exposure? Well, I'll just go back to the training called Power Training by Jeff Olson that is now many, many, many years old as a training. And Mr. Olson talks about this concept of what is an exposure. And he makes the distinction. He said, the ideal exposure is when you put a tool into somebody's hands. Now, I'll just say, back in those days, I was in this business in those days, a tool was a physical thing. A tool might have been an audio cassette or a CD or a DVD or a VHS tape. Today, we have these in our Prospect app and the websites the company gives us. We have incredible presentations, videos where somebody can see the entire story quickly of who we are as a company, about our half-century story, about what it is that we market, why people buy these services, what it costs for them to have them, what the value proposition is, and why people are so excited about becoming members of our business, joining and getting our services, Legal Shield and ID Shield. We talk about the compensation plan as we talk about the opportunity. So in these videos, it's the company, it's the products, it's the opportunity. It's how you get started and why you should want to join us on the mission. That's a complete exposure. And as Jeff Olson says, that's the ideal exposure. Because what you've got is someone that watched the information. But he also went on to explain, and by the way, you will find in the agentsofchange.team website the download or live streaming button to actually listen to this. Again, very old, but very, very good training called Power Training. You can listen to it for yourself because Jeff Olson explains it better than I ever will. But so he talks about what is the ideal presentation, what is the ideal exposure. I just went over that. But he also makes the point that especially when we're new, any exposure is a good exposure. Just for example, if you make a list, if you're brand new and I sit down with you and we're doing a game plan and I just get your list of your top 10 prospects and you agree to do an activity, for example, texting each of those prospects, asking them if you can show them a video. And for the ones that say yes, you send them a link to the video overview. That's also, as Mr. Olson explains, that's also an exposure. We should be celebrating that because while it's not the perfect exposure, it is the perfect thing for a new associate to do, which is to take action in their business. And yes, those of us that have been around longer, we know that sending someone a link that lands on their phone as a text, as a link that they've got to click and watch a video, does not always result in them watching the video. But by making an invitation to a prospect, asking them if you can send them the video, they say yes, and then you send them the video, that's a great exposure because As long as you have proper expectation, it's a great exposure because it's the beginning of a conversation. And we all know, again, if you've been around for very long, you know that the fortune is in the follow-up. So once I've sent somebody that video, once you sent somebody that video, once a new associate on your team has sent someone that video, we have this great opportunity to follow up and ask the person if they've had a chance to watch it yet. In other words, it begins a conversation. So the answer to the question, what is an exposure, is really, it's you decide and you report based on what you're doing. So that might mean that you decide, listen, for me, an exposure is when someone watches the video from beginning to end, and I know that they watched it. You want to count that as an exposure, report those exposures. Those are the best exposures, of course, because those people that you've done that with, you've worked a little bit more with them, and now you've got someone that's fully educated and is capable of getting a little bit more information, maybe getting some questions answered, but is capable of making a decision. Or you can celebrate and track and focus on and report the front end exposure. The fact that you got that link out, maybe you weren't comfortable. Maybe you didn't feel confident in doing it, but you still texted a friend and said, "Can I send you this?" Using the script in our first step training. You send a text to a friend or family member, somebody from church, a person that you met at the grocery store, hey, would you mind taking a look at this? And you stepped out of your comfort zone to do that, and that is an exposure worth celebrating because you've begun a process that I want to make sure you understand. Every Millionaire Club member in this business, every six-figure ring earner in this business, every one of the 30,000 plus people that are earning residual income checks right now in this business, somebody exposed them to this business. Somebody that was probably unsure and unsteady, somebody that didn't quite know what to do or what to say, got the courage up and did this thing called an exposure. And I want to celebrate that. And I know that there will come a point when this group of people running together and celebrating and cheering each other on will be doing thousands of exposures every single day, stepping in the lives of people by the thousands every single day, being agents of change in our communities every single day. But the journey of 1,000 miles begins with that single first step. You decide what an exposure is. Understand the power of taking action in your business. Celebrate that when new people are doing it, that you're helping build their business, and report your exposure so that we can all cheer each other on together, because we are agents of change. We are the lighthouse. We are the ones that are making a difference. And I celebrate everything you do to help shape a radically different future for ourselves, our family, and generations of people to come. Thank you.